Is this your first one by candlelight?
I know.
So sweet.
And then in my last job, I was working at the energy regulator in the UK, and the job. Awesome. So my name's Maya, and I'm based in Amsterdam. I'm a researcher, and I moved here in October from London, where I'm from originally. And I guess in my spare time when I'm not doing research, I really love to cook, and I've also just started a pottery course. So that's really fun.
Cool, sweet. You just mentioned, you moved from London to Amsterdam this year, and also you made this career transition from a service designer to user researcher. I know many people in our channel, they're also looking to make this move, from other roles and to make this transition to user research. It would be great that you can share with them your stories and your experience about how you made this transition. So yeah, that will be our main topic today.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm wondering, so what made you decide to make that transition from design to research?
Yeah. So I'd been a designer and a researcher combined, both working in an agency with different clients and then also in-house in companies and organizations. And I think the part that I was always really passionate about and was really, really interested in was research and gaining insights on new topics and seeing how that can inform the projects that I was working on. So then when I moved here to Amsterdam, I decided I wanted to focus more on research. So I was kind of applying to a whole mix of things. But I think probably my last role before moving in London was very research based. So it's almost a transition.
Cool. So sounds like you already had some research related work in your previous role, right? When you were a service designer.
Yeah.
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 Can you
So
talk
yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what did you do in your previous job as a
Yeah.
service designer?
Yeah. So often it was about going into organizations or working with different clients on projects where they were trying design research informed approaches for the first time. So often that meant that we were doing research within the discovery phase, either to get to know users better, kind of as a base, or to identify opportunities for new product development. So I think, there was kind of uncovering opportunities there. And then as we kind of moved through the product development cycle, with some other projects, things will kind of go through more prototyping and testing and kind of getting further. And then I think maybe kind of gradually by working closely with UX designers who were more visual and kind of specialized in UI as well. I would spend less time designing the visuals and more time working on kind of workshops and research and kind of bringing out those opportunities to inform what we were working on.
Interesting. Since you're more on the strategic side, and leave those technical work to other team members, such as UI. Yeah. Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
So what kind of skills or work experience as a service designer would be beneficial, for people to make this move to a user researcher from your perspective?
Do you mean if people are already working in service design,
Yeah.
what skills? So I think at least how I've kind of worked as a researcher in a kind of research only focus, I still think so many of the skills with service designer embedded into my practice. So it's still about really understanding the problem and all of the different sides to it. So whether that's different people in an organization or business, the different users, and there could be multiple, and then really understanding the kind of stages behind the project and what's really driving it. And I think you can do that in a whole range of workshops that you can still do as a researcher. So it won't necessarily be like a discrete research project, but it can really help you to maximize your insights.
Exactly.
Be more involved in the project as a whole as well.
Yeah. So sounds like you mentioned the understanding for different phases of product development, and also the knowledge about design thinking workshops to share your research findings to your teams in order to help them to make decisions.
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe it depends on what type of researcher you are. I'm definitely more qual than quant, but hoping to kind of transition more into mixed methods. So I think, if you're a qual researcher, it kind of lends itself also to those approaches more so. But maybe if you're more on the quant side and that takes up most of your time, it might be that you work in collaboration with another role to take on those findings, and they do that kind of next phase. So I think it depends what team you're in, and also what your role entails as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's really depending on the product that you are working on. Yeah, it's really different. Yeah, and it's been like more than half a year so far, right? You're working in Amsterdam, and how do you feel about working as a full-time user researcher so far?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's actually feels really nice to be dedicated to research and to be learning from other researchers around me. So I think that really exposes you to other methods and approaches, and also to be more critical about what's a successful approach and the context in which you're doing research. So I think maybe just doing it more means that you can, focus on a bit more and kind of develop skills in those spaces.
Yeah, now you are mainly doing research, not design anymore. Yeah, then you can have this focus.
Yeah, although I think because I do have that design background, I still am always like wanting to do that. So I think it's also about figuring out like when is the right time to use certain approaches and methods, and depending on who else you're working with and where you want to get to, and there's always so many factors.
Yeah. Tell me about the research method that you used in the past as service designer, and maybe one or two research methods that you started to use after you become a full-time researcher.
Yeah. So as a service designer working a lot with, say like charities or in the public sector, co-creation and co-design is really important, particularly I think in terms of democratizing decision making. When you're working on policy development or a service that might be very sensitive, the end user is really the best placed person to inform decisions. And I think a good co-creation workshop really puts those people at the heart of it, rather than kind of making decisions perhaps in a more distant manner. So that was, I guess, one research approach that I would use very often. And maybe I would kind of either end that with like ethnographic research in the home, or in the context where users are kind of working with the service. And then at the moment I'm working on a design outcome survey. So I think being more focused as a researcher, I'm also looking at how can we scale findings through surveys and actually with the access to a bigger pool of people. So I think where, if you have a base of users, you can access them to kind of constantly be learning and building on your knowledge, rather than kind of doing kind of external recruitment. I think it really depends on who, what the organization is and how well they know their users and have access as well.
Yeah, sounds super cool. Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of participatory design. I think that's really magical. You can really go into people's, subconscious and know their desires and dreams, and that's really fantastic.
Yeah, one of my favorite projects that I didn't do myself, but I read about, was working with mothers who'd had difficult experiences during either pregnancy or post-giving birth, and they actually upskilled recent mothers in different design thinking methods and some kind of researching and co-creation approaches, which meant then they led all of the sessions with other recent mothers to develop mental health services and support for that. So that kind of seems like it's going even kind of one step further to be more inclusive and more democratic, which I really like.
Yeah, exactly. And also very human-centered design.
Yeah, very human-centered, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you've been working as a researcher for, more than half a year so far. So let me ask you this question. Which one do you like better, research or design? You have to choose.
I have to choose. I think maybe if I think about research in the role I'm in right now, it feels like the best of both worlds because I'm still able to get deeper with my kind of research execution just by kind of having more time, resource and expertise around me. But then because of the flexibility of my role, I can still bring in different design methods and push that side of it as much as I want. But I guess I'm working with a UX designer, so I'm not responsible for actually the product visuals that get developed. So it's good to kind of separate those responsibilities, I think.
Yeah. We're only doing the strategic part and the foundational part and let them to carry on with our research findings.
Yeah, and I think it probably depends on what type of researcher you are and what type of designers you work with.
That's true.
You might get a researcher who's also very visual, kind of wants to join in on the next steps. And then also you get designers who are really informed with research as well.
Yeah, it depends on their research maturity as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And now let's talk a little bit about the future. So now you said you're enjoying what you've been working right now. You like your role and your task every day. But how about the future? Let's see. What's your plan for your career path? Or in other words, how do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. So I think I don't have like an official like 5-year plan, but I know that I'd like to build more of my quantitative research skills, and then I will feel more equipped to work on an even kind of wider array of projects. And I think I still am very interested in the product development process. So I think I would still like to stay quite close to the design journey. And I also have a number of projects that I'd like to kind of do myself. So I think to initiate some projects through research and kind of see how they can develop as projects as well would be really cool.
Yeah. So it sounds like you would just, try different things and see whether you will end up with a researcher or a designer, or maybe one day a product manager.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
So I think I'm definitely someone who's like goes with the flow, and maybe I could probably make more plans and be a bit more decisive with things.
Maybe even start your own company, like your own startups.
Yeah, who knows? That would be really cool. But I know that I still really like working in teams and with other people. So if I was, to start something, I think it would still be really great to bring a different skill set that you can work closely with.
Yeah. Do you enjoy a like very defined role, like very defined responsibility, or something more, let's say, you can tolerate this ambiguity and or you're fine with doing everything, but maybe just a little of them?
So, I mean, I've done roles where they've been like very specific or just a lot more kind of all-rounded. I think if you do something more specific, you can become more of a master of that one aspect, and there's so much benefit to that because you can feel more confident behind your work. You can also have more ideas of different angles to take to the work as well. But then it's also interesting to see all the sides to a project and get to do a project end to end. So I think there's pros and cons. But maybe if I could get to a level with research that I feel like I have really kind of strengthened my skills, then I would feel kind of equipped to use that where it was necessary, and then also like play on different skills as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I just want to mention that, I think in your previous role, you must already master the research skill, and then when the opportunity comes, and then you can just grab it and, make this transition. Yeah, just prepare for those change might happen in the future. Just have those skills.
Yeah.
And who knows, go with the flow.
Yeah. I think it's good to recognize where you can do that, and then also I think now I'm reflecting on kind of going slower in terms of deciding what approach to take to a project and being more critical, and really thinking about the next step and what's going to be the most beneficial in like 3 months or something like that.
Becoming more and more researchy.
More researchy, yeah. I'm changing.
In the end, I just want to ask you the last one. The last question. So, because our topic today is about a career transition from design to research. So what would be your one single piece of advice to people who are looking to make this transition from design to research?
From design to research. So I guess if you're a designer and you have a researcher in your team, like try and work as closely with them as possible to learn as much from them as you can. And then, you can listen to different podcasts to hear about different research methods, and also to do some reading in there. And then you can always run your own research project as well if you haven't got experience doing it before doing some training or some work in that space. So my boyfriend was working on a design project maybe when I first moved here, and I just did some street testing for him just to kind of get to know Amsterdam as well. And he was busy, so he couldn't do it. So I think it's probably difficult times at the moment, but street testing can be a good way to also build up your confidence in speaking to users and different people as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just to make the first step and keep learning.
And then I think like we've said already, like listening to different people talk about how they do research and why they take those approaches is really useful.
Interesting. That's super helpful. Thanks, Maya.
And good luck to anyone seeking out their next step as well. It's exciting.
So I think that's all for today. Yeah, thanks so much for joining me, for this mini interview. It was really
Yeah.
lovely to chat with you.
Thanks so much for asking me. It was really fun.